In this video, you are going to learn about how to create a three-dimensional sphere through the blending technique. It is important to remember how to hold your pencil when you are blending. You will hold your pencil in the middle to create a medium to dark gray. You will hold your pencil on the eraser or near the back to create your lighter grays, and you will hold your pencil near the graphite to create your really dark grays. But you want to be careful when you're doing that because you don't want to put an indentation on your paper and you don't want to create a scratchy value. First, we are going to start off by drawing our circle. And when you are drawing your circle, you're just going to use your fingers to move the pencil back and forth in this motion to create a very wide C. And you're going to turn your paper. And we're turning our paper because our hands are used to making this motion. And so it's easier for us to create this curve repeatedly and to create a better circle. It's not necessary to use a tool to draw a circle when you can practice drawing a circle on your own. Now we are going to start with our light source. And for your light source, I'm just going to draw a circle up here to show which direction the light is coming from. And that will help you figure out where your highlight is going to be. If our light source is going to be here, the brightest spot, our highlight, is going to be in this area on our sphere. And the cast shadow, if we're drawing lines from our light source to help us find where the shadows will fall, our cast shadow is going to come from this direction, from this side of the sphere, and it's going to fall back in this direction because the light hits your sphere from this direction and it causes that shadow to fall back. Now, the shadow will be curved back here because the surface of our object is curved. And we need to imagine that the light is hitting the opposite side of our sphere as well. And it is hitting probably about this area on the other side of our sphere and causing our shadow to fall back right here. Okay, once you have the shape of your cast shadow drawn, you want to start by adding a thin black line. So we're imagining that our sphere is sitting on a flat surface. And when an object sits on a surface, it has a very thin black line directly underneath it to show that it is sitting on that surface. You will then fill in your cast shadow starting with a dark gray. Now, because I'm creating a dark gray, I am holding my pencil in the middle. And I'm still holding it at a slant, and I'm not spacing out my lines. I want to make sure that I'm overlapping my graphite because we want to make sure that our values are smooth when we are using the blending technique. And your cast shadow will gradually get slightly lighter. The further we get away from our object. I want to make sure to keep our value smooth, so I'm not pressing down too hard. I'm going to turn my paper, holding my pencil closer to the back. To create that smooth value. I'm going to go back over in this direction to make sure that my value is very smooth. And then I'm going to clean up those sketchy lines that I drew when I was drawing the shape of my cast shadow. Okay, now we're going to draw the shadow on our object. Because our object is round, our shadow will be round. And imagine if the ball was actually 3D and was coming up off of the paper. The highest point would be about here, which is where that light is going to stop reaching the other side of our sphere. So our cast shadow is going to stop about here, but we want to make sure that it is curved to show that our object is curved. I am using that same wide C movement with my hand to draw that curved line. Now we are going to draw the shape for our reflected light. Reflected light is any light that hits another object and bounces back onto the object that we are drawing. And because our object is curved, the reflected light on our object is also going to be curved. And we want to, since the light that we're adding to this sphere is bouncing off of the flat surface of the table, it is going to be near the bottom of the sphere, and it's just going to be a thin area using that same curve, that same wide C. It's going to be directly above that thin black line that we drew. Now that we know where our reflected light will be, we are going to go ahead and shade in our darkest shadow on our sphere. It's not going to be as dark as the cast shadow, but it will be quite close. It might be as dark as the medium gray here at the back, but not that dark, dark gray. I'm still holding my pencil in the middle to make sure that I'm creating a smooth value using that wide C motion because I'm adding value to a curved surface, a round surface. And so I want to keep my shadow curved as well. Okay, now where the light is going to hit it, I'm going to start making a lighter value. So I'm going to hold my pencil more towards the eraser. And I'm going to lightly shade in to get that value to fade to a light gray. We want to keep our value round. I'm going to start curving up. Make sure you are keeping your value smooth. Since this is our first sphere drawing in this class, I will not take off points for your sphere not being perfectly round, but this is our second time working with blending, so we'll start taking off points if it is not really smooth. You need to take your time, keeping that value smooth. Remember, do not smooth it out with your finger. That's going to make your value look smudgy. I'm going to erase that circle that I drew to show where my highlight will be. I'm going to, I really want to erase the outline from my sphere also, because when you're drawing 3D objects, you should not have a visible outline. You want to make sure that you clean that up and any smudges on your paper as well. Okay, my dark shadow needs to curve up some more, so I'm going to add a few more layers there. Our highlight's not going to be a very large area. Highlights are usually smaller areas on an object. Going back to smooth that value out. Okay, and there you go. That's your first blended sphere for the class. I'm gonna pick up where this line gets quite dark. And what I'm gonna do is make sure my eraser is clean by erasing on another piece of the paper. And then I'm gonna dab at this area to lighten that up. Now I wanna label my sphere, my shadows and highlights. So right here is my cast shadow. Here is my light source. Right here is my highlight. And back here is my reflected light. Okay, and I will title this Blended Sphere.